So I'm going to start out with kind of the big question. As HR professionals, we sometimes really struggle to prove our connection to financial value, to bottom line revenue growth. And so therefore, sometimes we're not even speaking the same language and talking to the KPIs and how you look at ROI. How can you help break down and debunk the fact that we are on the same team, we are accomplishing the same thing, and how we can work better together?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. And, when I was the head of HR, I did not have to deal with it because I was also the chief financial officer at the same time. So I did not have to argue with myself late at night or debate things with myself. But if I were to give some advice to my human resources friends out there, I know that you are all extremely, extremely great at empathizing with people. That is one of your superpowers. And that is probably what you need to tap when you're preparing for making an ask of a CFO is you really need to try to empathize with that CFO and show her, the CFO, what she loves. And that's going to be numbers and data-driven metrics because that's what they do all day. And that's how they're going to calculate the ROI from their perspective. So if you're in HR and you have a lot of great ideas about how we can improve the culture of the company, there's probably a laundry list of things that you would love to do, but they all cost money, right? So that's the challenge is getting that CFO to say yes to the spend request. So let's pick an example. Let's say it's things that are going to increase team member retention at your company. One of the things that I believe increases team member retention is training and development. People really like working at companies that invest in them and spend the time to develop them for the next level. I always heard in my career, working for those companies is like you're going to college, but you're getting paid for it. Where else do you go to college and they pay you, right? So if you can turn your organization into one of those organizations, I guarantee your retention level will increase. And so to do that, you're going to have to demonstrate some sort of return on investment on that spend for the learning and development rollout, if you will, because that's going to cost money. A good one is going to cost money. Even if it is LinkedIn learning licenses for everybody, there's still a cost per person. So what I'd recommend is you're going to have to focus on, okay, what is currently costing the money that gets fixed by this rollout and this improvement in retention. So you're going to go to your turnover rate. What is your current turnover rate? And then attempt to quantify that every time we lose somebody, we are then going to pay either an external recruiter a bounty to get a new person, or our internal team is going to spend X number of hours to fill that seat on average. So these are things that you can quantify. You're going to have to use estimates sometimes, especially for the internal cost of an internal recruiter. But let's just say that the average role to fill takes your internal recruiter, 30 hours in total from start to finish. So you can easily take that estimate, multiply it by their salary rate, their hourly rate, and then you get a number for like how much it costs the company. So those are the easy ones, the direct costs. But then you can also add in some estimates for what I call indirect cost, or maybe they're somewhat intangible in nature. Like we don't see them. There's no bill that comes for it. There's no invoice that comes. But what I'm getting at here is hopefully your CFO knows this, but you can remind them that anytime a role turns over, there's a decline in productivity. That means that someone new will eventually come in. They need to ramp up. They need to learn. No matter how perfect fit they are, they need to learn our way. So you have to come up with some estimate for how much that is costing the company. Those are probably the two biggest things that I'd point to. There's a lot of other things that when you really start thinking about from this perspective of what do we get a bill for directly and what is indirect, where it's like there's no bill for it, but someone's spending time on it. Just think about all those things and try to quantify them out in a list. And then before long, you're essentially building your case for your learning and development rollout. because you're turning something that maybe in a vacuum was a request for a spend in the finance world, a spend. Maybe now you're turning it to, now it's a net savings because we want to have outgoing spend on learning and development, but we're going to have this offsetting savings to the company that exceeds that. And that's going to be a net savings to the company. So that makes it really easy for the CFO to say, okay, I trust your judgment. I looked at the numbers. They all seem reasonable. And I'm on board with the concept of net savings. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. or Miss Head of HR. I really appreciate it when a department can come to me with a net savings proposition. That makes my job easier as the CFO.